It's a yellow leather, yellow leather, yellow leather.
Yellow leather.
What's
yellow
that?
leather?
Unique New York. Unique New York.
New York.
Let's warm
Unique.
up.
How much could a cream-colored camel carry? How much crispy coconut cake could a cream-colored camel carry if a cream-colored camel could carry crispy coconut cake?
Yeah, you're getting pretty good at that.
Thank you.
You should write a book.
Write a book? Like
Yeah.
a book of tongue twisters?
Yeah, I'll help. Help you write them. Because that's what we do.
We write books?
We write twisty tongue twister books.
Twister, tongue twister
Twisty.
books. Twisty.
Twisties.
What if we did write a book together?
I'm on board. I might not read it, but I'll write it.
You write it. That could be fun.
I have been reading more than...
By
Used
that, just
to.
so you know, by that he means he read one book and he began a second.
Yeah. So I'm leaps and bounds beyond what I used to be at. Read one, started another one. And it wasn't even one that my boss told me to read.
No, yeah, you read this. This one's for leisure.
Of my own fruition.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Got a word.
I found a delicious item at the grocery store yesterday.
Okay, that's where they carry them.
It may have been the day before yesterday. I can't remember. But it's... Here, I'm going to tell you this item, and then you tell me if you're on board with it or
It's
not.
gonna gross me out. I already know.
No.
It is.
It's a candied jalapeno.
Yeah, like similar to a yam, but jalapeno.
Maybe. It's in a jar. They're just like sliced jalapenos, like you put on stuff, but they're like sweet and spicy.
It makes me think of like a Hawaiian, like a combination of jalapenos and pineapple.
Yeah, but without the acidity of pineapple. It's got the sweet. And it's...
Did you try them?
Yeah.
What did you think?
They were delicious.
I don't think I would like them.
I put them on my breakfast burrito.
I don't think I would like them.
And it was very good. I also have jalapeno jam or jelly at my
Did
house.
Steve make
as
it for you?
well. No. He has made... Now, he has
Cheating
made...
on Steve.
Now, he has made jelly with jalapenos in it.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Yeah.
But this is like straight jalapeno, only jalapeno jelly. It's not like mixed with another fruit. Also available at the local grocery store, Edwards Food Giant. Shout out.
We have big news.
Big news.
We got our first podcast gift.
Yeah. You are about to experience something
It was delivered to us.
that...
If you're not watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple,
Yeah.
you're missing out a little bit, but I'll do my best to explain it to you. They are...
Just imagine if your hand was an animal.
yeah, that's pretty accurate. We were delivered our very own finger puppets.
Yeah. And
Mine, if you can't tell, is like a pug. And let me see if I can explain this to the people who are listening. On each of my phalanges
Yeah.
is a different part of the pug.
The different appendage.
Appendage of the pug.
Limited to their legs.
So, yeah. So my...
Not like their tail or anything like that. It's just... They're just paws.
So my middle finger is the pug head,
Yeah.
and each of my other fingers are the pug paws.
Yeah.
Just had a fly on my face.
Fly is back. Mine is a squirrel. There's squirrel head, and I have squirrel paws. Squirrel head's on my middle finger, obviously, because it's the middle one. That's where the head is. And then my paws, my little squirrel paws, are at the bottom. So we're going to work on some sort of finger puppet skit
Ministry.
to do
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
The manufacturers of these finger puppets did not account for larger fingers. So I am losing feeling in my thumb and my ring finger. It's pretty tight.
They're fantastic.
But
If
we're
you're
going to
wondering,
stretch them out.
I know what some of you are thinking. You guys just bought these for yourselves
No. This is...
because you thought they were fun. And more specifically, you think Jason bought these.
Yeah.
But he did not.
And it tracks.
These
But in this case...
were podcast presents.
Yes. Now listen, did you hear what we said? Podcast presents. It's our first of many. And these are exceptional.
They are.
And I will be playing with my finger squirrel most of the day today. And just getting a little workout. I need to
Can you get your 15 minutes of exercise in with a squirrel?
Yeah, just with my fingers. No, I need to shave my arm hair in the shape of a squirrel tail.
That would be really cool.
And it'll be exceptional.
This is good.
Next things, I need to get some acorns. Okay, we're back. And
welcome to the Shop Podcast. This is episode 41. Welcome, everybody. So glad you're here.
Did we say who gave us these gifts?
No.
Can we do that?
Yeah, I don't care.
Thanks, Brian. You're the best. You're the only person in my life who's ever given me squirrel finger puppets. And it's amazing. This made my day today. So, thank you. These will be passed on for generations to come in my family. And I can't express how happy I am right now about the finger squirrels.
and the pug.
And the finger pug. All right.
They are the best. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you so much.
You're the best.
Yes. Episode 41.
Sponsored by Brian. This is really, I did not know this day was going to be so great.
No.
So far.
I woke up thinking it was going to be a normal day.
I got a late start this morning, so I was thinking, ooh, today may be rough. But it's not. It's great.
Snot.
Snot.
On episode 41, we're talking about comparison.
The comparison trap.
Comparison trap, like a mouse trap.
Yep.
But comparison trap.
Yep.
Also reminds me of the Parent Trap. Did you ever watch that?
I did watch that. The old one or the newer one?
Whichever
the
one.
The Lindsay Lohan one? Or the...
No, the Olsen twins. Is that who was in it?
Oh, that's even a different one.
No, maybe it wasn't the Olsen twins. I don't remember. It was redheaded girls. That's probably not the Olsen twins. They went to camp.
I don't know. Lindsay Lohan was in one, I think.
I'll Google
it. Or maybe that was Freaky Friday.
Yeah, you're thinking of Freaky Friday. We got a review, by the way, from Parker. It was an Audible review. It was given to us vocally.
Yeah, vocally.
And
through the sound waves.
Yeah, and he said, hey, I like it when you Google things on the podcast because it's better than just leaving it wrong. It is Lindsay Lohan. I didn't know that was Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, I thought she was in Parent Trap.
Yeah. The twins are Annie and Hallie, separated at birth.
Yep. Did she just play herself twice?
How did that work?
Split screen?
Yeah, I guess she did. I didn't know she played both of them.
Yeah.
Also forgot Dennis Quaid was in that.
Oh, classic.
Yep.
I love me a Dennis Quaid movie.
Yeah, he plays the same person in every movie.
Oh, yeah.
But he does it well.
Yeah.
And he typically throws a baseball.
It's possible. Did you see, was it The Hill?
No.
There's a baseball movie that Dennis Quaid is in. Just watched it recently. He was a preacher.
Oh, yeah.
His son,
Yes.
His son, I guess it's based on a true story.
True-ish. Yeah.
I don't know.
I Googled it. Like the main plot points are true.
Yeah.
Things are exaggerated.
Yeah, the kids was a real person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a good movie.
It was. I was thinking of The Rookie, where he's a pitcher and he's too old to go into the MLB, and his team are no, you should try.
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's good.
Well, Angels in the Outfield. That's based on a true story, right?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
Yes.
Anyways.
All right.
Today we're talking about the Parent Trap.
The Parent Trap.
The Parent Trap. Today we're talking about the comparison trap.
Yeah.
I'll start with a story.
Okay. I like that.
It's a true story.
You need your finger puppets?
No, we'll act it out on the next episode. We'll have special edition where it acts out.
Finger puppet episode.
Yes.
I like that. I'm going to start writing a script right now.
You have to buy the DVD, though.
Yeah.
What if we sell DVDs of the podcast?
Season 1. When does the first season end?
Maybe the year.
In a year?
Yeah.
I thought we've been doing this at a year.
No, we're on episode 41. Do you know how many weeks are in a year?
52.
Yeah, so we have a few weeks left.
Oh, it just felt like a year. All right. Our 1 year anniversary.
It's coming up.
DVDs.
It's coming up.
Dividends.
Yeah, so story, and maybe you can relate to this in a different area, and I apologize. A lot of my stories are like ministry specific, but maybe you can relate. So, visiting, whenever we went to Be So Live, visiting Harris Creek,
Yep.
there was a part of me that thought like, I wonder what life would have been like had I grown up in this church.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't necessarily think that thought is a sinful or bad. I think it can lead down a sinful path.
Yeah.
But I did. Like, you're sitting there and you're wondering, like, I wonder what life would be like if I had grown up here. Would I still be in ministry? Would I have had the opportunity to be a part of leadership like I was at East Union? And you begin to like track through those questions, and if you're not careful, it can lead to, I wish I grew up here.
Yeah.
I wish I had gone to this church. And I think that's where comparison becomes dangerous. I think there can be a healthy and even an okay version of comparison. Like maybe.
Yeah,
I think that's
like you have a competitive spirit.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Right. Yeah. And so maybe you can relate to that, where you see what we're talking about is like you see the lives that other people are living, and you begin to compare yourselves in a sinful way that leads to the thought of I'm no good in the kingdom, or I wish I had their role in the kingdom or their role in life. Yeah. That's what I had in mind. Is that what you had in mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think so. I'm right on track with that. I don't. I wouldn't consider comparison like a sin initially.
Right.
But I think it's a temptation.
Absolutely.
And it can lead to sin. And I don't know if I need to wait and ask this question later, but like a question just popped in my head.
I like good questions.
So, and this may be out of order with what we're going to talk about, but like I have a tendency to be motivated by competition.
Yeah, same here.
Like I may have no desire to do anything, but if you tell me like who's going to be the best in this or who's going to do this the quickest, the longest, the whatever.
Yeah.
That tends to be a good motivator for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be the last one.
Yeah.
And by comparison, I don't want to be the worst one.
Yeah.
So is that a bad thing to be? Is that a bad thing to like gravitate towards as a motivating factor, I guess? I don't know. Just when you were saying that, I was like,
yeah,
that's kind of how I typically look at things. Like if I'm trying to accomplish something that I wouldn't normally accomplish.
Yeah.
Is that a bad attitude to have going into it?
Yeah. Initially, I thought my first thought was competition can be used for good.
Yeah.
The type of working out that I enjoy doing is very competition based.
Yeah.
Anytime we have a group of people working out with us, like it's always who can get this done the fastest or who can lift the most.
Yeah.
And that's very motivating.
Yeah.
And I think has resulted in me enjoying working out for longer.
Yeah.
Without that, I think I would have gotten bored. And so I enjoy that. And so I don't, in that sense, I don't know that I think competitive mindset has led to a healthier lifestyle for me. But that's part of what's going on with the Shop Summer Challenge. Like
I was about to say that because like my motivation is, and it's not necessarily like, oh, somebody else failed or whatever.
Right.
I just don't want to be that one.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to
Yeah.
be like I want to have a perfect
Yeah.
score
Yeah.
for the summer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's so much by comparison, but when I see others that are right there tracking with me, then I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna drop below
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah.
And
Do you think once that competitive spirit or competitive mindset, do you think as long as it stays in the mindset of I want to do the best I can do, it's okay, but maybe the moment it switches over and says I want to be better than everyone else, do you think that may be where it gets dangerous?
I think that's probably where I was leaning towards that.
Yeah.
And I think it can be a fine line. And I think it's also one of those things that it's different for different people.
Yeah.
I think some people are more susceptible to
Yeah.
getting into that I want to be better than everybody else
Right.
mindset. And I got to catch myself with that too. And I'm not like naturally gifted physically and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not used to being the best at stuff like that anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like something like this that I can control is like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'll be very disappointed in myself if I don't have a perfect score over the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and that's what I'm striving for. But all these other people doing it helps me to do that.
Right.
But I think to your point, I think if it gets to the point where I'm like looking for others to fail, so I succeed,
Right. Yep.
Then that's a shift, I think.
Yep.
Or if I fail and I look at others who haven't in a negative way.
Right.
Then I think that's a line that's crossed too, where I've gotten an attitude that I don't need to have.
Yeah, like if you're wondering, for those of you who are part of this, like I don't have a perfect score. So what's today? Day 11.
I think so.
I have
11 or 12, something like that.
I have today's day 12. So we've had 11 completed days. I've missed 3, and I think if I had the mindset of these people with a perfect score, I bet they're cheating.
Yeah.
Or these people with a perfect score, they don't have as much going on as I have going on.
Right.
I think that's the negative side of comparison that we're talking about.
Yeah. Or if I have the mindset of like those that haven't made it, like
they're not as spiritual as I am.
Yeah. What's wrong?
They're not as
I've
disciplined.
done all my stuff.
Yeah.
And they may say, oh, well, this thing's harder and this thing's harder.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to get into my mind, well, like I did it, so why can't they do it? And so I think that's the line. Yeah. I think like what you guys do with like CrossFit and stuff like that, like kind of, it's almost like racing each other.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as like a negative thing, for sure. But I think you can get into that mind space.
Yeah. So today on the podcast, we're talking about competition.
Yeah.
No, I do think that's within the theme though.
Yeah.
Because I think the sinful side of comparison that we can talk about is whenever you turn life into a competition, and begin to try to race people to certain empty finish lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think and this is kind of a blanket statement, and it's not 100% all the time, but I think the vast majority of social media is in that space.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Of life is a competition.
Yep.
And I want to prove to you that my life is better than yours.
Yeah.
Even if it's like subconsciously.
Right.
I think we can even like get into that and not even realize we're there, because when you start filtering out the real things in your life that maybe you don't want people to see, or you don't think are as good as other things in your life, and all you're showing is the good stuff, then you're still like, you want everybody to think that you're winning at everything.
Yeah.
And so that, I think that feeds that comparison.
Yeah. It's like, look at me, I'm at the beach.
Yeah.
Look at me, I got to go to this location. Look at me, I'm eating at this restaurant.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's wrong for you to post stuff like that or say, hey, this was cool, I enjoyed it, wanted to share this with
Right.
everybody.
Yep.
But again, I think it's like a temptation that you can get kind of sucked into.
Yeah, and I think it's a temptation for the poster, and I think it's a temptation for the viewer.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
we can view what other people are doing, and rather than celebrate along with them that they got to go on the trip that they got to go on,
Yeah.
we can say like, well, I didn't get to go on that trip. I'm useless. I'm worthless. Like whatever it may be, and begin to talk down to our own souls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, but back kind of to your example too with going to BSO,
Yeah.
the stuff that we saw at Harris Creek, it's easy for us to say, how come we're not doing this at our church?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how come, what would it be like if our church did this?
Yeah.
And then you can get in your mind like comparing what we're doing in certain areas to what they're doing in
Yeah.
certain areas and say,
Right.
well, we're failing.
Yeah.
And that's in no way
Right.
the truth. And I think when we get to that mind space,
Which is silly to say based off of one event that we went to.
yeah,
at
yeah,
church.
That's not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's, and you don't, like, man, like Tanner and I were talking about this the other day. Like, every church has their issues. Every church has their behind the scenes, like, things that they deal with. And to some extent, like, Sunday morning is kind of like the social media version
Yeah.
of
Yeah. You
of
put
church.
your-
Like, you put your
yeah.
best stuff on stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for people to see. And again, that's not necessarily wrong, but I think you got to understand that there's we're all sinners, we're
Yeah.
all struggling. There's all
Yeah.
things that are not necessarily in the light all the time. But what I think happens though is when we get into that mindset of like, how come we can't be like this church, or
Yeah.
why come we can't be like this ministry,
Yeah.
or whatever, then I think that crosses the line into sin, and you're essentially coveting.
Yeah, yeah. I wrote down the word covetousness. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't covet. Yeah. And we're going to talk about this a little bit, depending on when you're watching this tomorrow at the shop. It's just wanting what other people have, whether that's experiences or stuff, like wanting what they have, and I think that's what we're talking about with comparison. Like, you see what other people have, you assume that their life is better than yours, you assume that their life is more fun than yours, you assume that they have more joy, they have better experiences, and you're like, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
But what you don't know is that they're posting their highlight reel, they're presenting their highlight reel, and you have no idea what's going on at home behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's going on outside of that 60-second clip that you got to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a problem that we have.
Yeah.
With that, and I like
Yeah.
one of the have you remember those like words of wisdom that your dad gave you when you were
Yeah.
younger.
Yeah.
One of the things that I remember as a kid, and my dad used to say it all the time, was he said, "Son, you need to get your want to fixed."
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I want to do this, I want this, I want to
Yeah.
do this. He's like, well, you get your want to fixed.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the core of what we're talking about today
Yeah.
too. Like, what drives our wants?
Yeah.
Like what drives what we want to do, what we want to be, where we want to go,
Yep.
what we want to possess.
Yep.
What's the driving factor of that?
Yeah.
And I think if we can determine that, that's going to help us a lot in this comparison game, and,
Yeah.
and keeping us from getting trapped in that.
Yeah. Yeah, for just a moment, you want to talk about like the dangers of comparison. I think we're kind of
Yeah.
hitting around it, but I wrote down just a few things, and you can jump in on this. You can just list my 3 things just like super fast,
I like it.
and then we can talk about. Okay, I think the 3 things that I wrote down are the dangers of comparison. Is one, it can cause you to be prideful.
Mm-hmm.
You can see what other people have or the lives that they're living, and you can say, "Look at me, I'm better than them."
Mm-hmm.
Or look at me, I'm holier than them. Or it can do the opposite. Comparison can give you like a debilitating, I guess, low self-esteem, where you're like, look at me, I'm trash.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like
Yeah.
the Moses
I'll never
story.
be like these. Yeah.
Like, you can't use me, I stutter, like I can't talk as well as other people kind of mindset.
Right.
And then the third thing, I think it's just a distraction. You begin to look at what the lives that other people are living, and you want their life rather than living the life that God has called you to live.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
that's good. I just kind of touch on that last one, I guess. I mean, you get so hyper focused on what other people are doing.
Yeah.
That it's like you completely abandon your own life.
Yeah.
And you live this kind of, I think part of that is where you kind of maybe get into like going through the motions. Like you're so focused on what other people are doing or not doing or whatever that you just kind of go through the motions on your end, and you lose that drive to build your relationship with Jesus, to build your relationship with your family, to build, and even to the extent of like, well, I'll never be what they are, so I might as well not try.
Right.
And I think it's demotivating in all those areas.
Yeah.
When you get caught up in that.
Yeah. The story I thought of is Peter and John. After the resurrection, the Lord's speaking to Peter, and this is in that same story where he says, Peter, do you love me?
I told you.
Yeah, do you have that one here? Yeah, where he says, the same story. He says, Peter, do you love me? And he's like, yeah, I love you. Peter, do you love me? Yeah, I love you. Peter, do you love me? You know that I love you. And then he tells Peter, he says, one of these days you're going to be killed for me.
Yeah.
One of these days you're going to be martyred. They're gonna kill you because you follow me. Mm-hmm. And then Peter says, what about John? What's going to happen to John?
Yeah.
And
that always cracked me up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jesus' response to John to Peter is, don't worry about John.
Yeah.
Like, he may live until I return.
Yeah. Just mind your business.
Mind your own business. You follow me is actually what he says, I think, right? Yeah. Like you follow
just
me.
Follow me.
Yeah.
And you focus on your relationship with me and what you're doing for me, and not worry about what John's doing.
Yeah.
And I don't in my mind, I don't think that John was there. I mean, he was there, but not like part of that conversation. He may have been. I don't know. The scripture it's not real clear on that.
He's on the beach, but it may have been a private-ish conversation.
But maybe he was there. And Peter, I think Peter was pretty bold. He would say whatever he wanted to say, no matter who was around. I can just imagine like John rolling his eyes like, here's Peter again. But yeah, that's the first passage that I thought of when we talked about this subject.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be any clearer than that.
Yep.
And straight from the words from the mouth of Jesus.
Right.
So.
And what an easy trap that is to fall into. Whenever you see what other people have, whether it's their talents or abilities or gifting or opportunities, and you can say, why don't I have that?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I sing? Why can't I play guitar? Why can't I speak? Why don't I have the money to go on these mission trips? Why don't I have, like, whatever it may be? And I think the Lord's response to us with that attitude is, hey, quit looking at everybody else.
Yeah.
You just follow me. Like, I've created you for a purpose. I've put you in the situation that you're in for a purpose. You just follow me. Mm-hmm. And who knows what the Lord has in store. Yeah.
And so I'll say the experience that I've had to, like in the past, when I have compared myself to someone else and I want to get where they're at, do what they do or whatever. Yeah. And let's say I get there.
Yeah.
It's never as satisfying as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's never like you get there and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I've made it. But then you're like on to somebody else.
Yeah.
That you want to start comparing to then.
Yeah.
And then it's that hunger is never like satisfied. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it just doesn't do it.
Yeah. And I feel like this passage has come up regularly or quite a bit recently. Godliness with contentment is great gain.
Yeah. I like that.
Like, just learning to trust God. That I'm, whatever the Lord has for me, I'm good. Whatever the Lord wants to give me, however much He wants to bless me with, whatever experiences He wants to allow me to have, like whatever it is, I'm good. And it's Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. Like simmer down. And we're gonna talk about this tomorrow. Like you have a Father that is gonna protect you, take care of you, and loves you more than you could ever imagine. Like calm down for a little bit and just wait and see what He has in store.
Yeah. And I think we end up setting our sights too low.
Yeah.
And not to say that not to down on any other person or anything.
No, do it.
But if you're if your sights are set on being like someone here, like on earth, like some other person.
Yeah.
Or attaining what they have, or being like them, or going where they go, or whatever. I think that's just that's a low target.
Yeah.
I think if our as Jesus said, to follow Him, if our sights are set on comparing ourselves to Him, then I think, one, we're going to be very humbled, and but two, I don't think unlike when you compare yourself to others, excuse me, I think when you compare yourself to Jesus, and even in knowing that you will forever fall short of who He is, understanding how much He loves you and how much He cares for you and how much He desires for you to succeed and be happy and blessed and so forth. I think you're not going to get into that like, I'm depressed because I'm not as good as
right.
It's just it's like that difference between happiness and joy, and like joy is like a state of being. It's not just dependent upon your circumstances. If your focus is on Christ and comparing yourself to Him, then that's a comparison that that'll never let you down.
Yeah.
That you'll never that'll leave you like wanting. You'll always be satisfied if that's the comparison. that you're following.
He's the living water. That if you drink from Him, you'll never thirst again. He's the bread of life. Like there's illustrations throughout Scripture. Like Jesus is the one who satisfies.
I think that's it. If our satisfaction is, if we look to Him for our satisfaction instead of these other things, then that's going to be what's best for us as He told us, and that's going to give us that abundant life. And if we're wanting this amazing life that we see others, follow Jesus, and you're going to have an amazing life. That doesn't mean you're going to have like cars and yachts and vacations and whatever. But it's going to change your perspective of what an amazing life is.
Right.
And you're going to understand what real joy is, and the peace that passes understanding, and the joy that you can't explain. It's just going to be beyond what you could ever strive for in comparison to someone else.
Yeah. And a lot of the things that we're chasing after are things that, from what I understand, I think we'll get to have for eternity.
Yeah, like you talk about,
I mean?
like I'm looking for joy, happiness. I'm looking for
I'm even talking about like
security,
material, and experiences. Like people see other people's houses, and like, oh, I wish I had that house. Like I wish I had a bigger house and a bigger yard. And what does Scripture promise? That He's going to prepare a mansion for us.
Yeah, the dwelling place in heaven is gonna. I mean, anything here is gonna pale in comparison to that.
And so, like, why waste our time chasing after material things that we can't take with us whenever that's what the Lord has prepared for us on the other side? Like, we have something else to do while we're here. And it's not gather what everybody else has. It's not compare yourself to others and try to experience. Like, there's even people, I think John Mark Comer writes this, he talks about all these people want to have experiences, and they have a bucket list, and they want to go visit the Eiffel Tower, and they want to go climb Mount Everest, and he argues that we will get to do those things, but in a perfect world.
Yeah.
We'll get to visit a perfect version of the Eiffel Tower and climb a perfect version of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And he says, like we have something else different to live for right now. And then we're going to be able to live in the satisfaction of all that the Lord wants to give us in heaven. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all of us trying to fill this void.
Yeah.
Inside of us that's essentially created by the fall, created by sin, and ultimately one day that void will be filled.
Right.
But while we're here on earth, the only way to start filling in that void is in our pursuit of the kingdom and our pursuit of Jesus.
The other passage that came to my mind is 1 Corinthians. I don't know if you wrote that one down. 1 Corinthians.
I did not.
Throughout 1 Corinthians, there's this debate going on where there's people who are boasting because they were baptized by Paul or baptized by Apollos or led to the Lord by these men. And there's people like, I'm better than you because I was baptized by this guy. I'm worse than you because I wasn't baptized by that guy. And 1 Corinthians, Paul sets that straight. He's like, hey, simmer down. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No.
And then they continue that same comparison debate into the gifts. Like they're longing for the gift of speaking in tongues and prophecy. And Paul's like, hey, maybe the Lord doesn't have that in store for you.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right.
That the Spirit gives gifts to the children of God as the Spirit sees fit. And you may have a different gift than somebody else. You may not be able to sing. You may not be able to preach. But you have the gifts that you have for a reason. And rather than sit in jealousy over somebody else's gifts, let's celebrate the gift that the Lord has given them and celebrate the gifts that the Lord has given you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's was it Ephesians where it talks about the body of Christ?
Yeah.
And so we're all part of a body as far as the unity of the church and everything. And what sense does it make for the foot to be jealous of the hand, or the eye to be jealous of the ear, or want to be that?
Yeah.
You focus on the ability and the gifts that God has given you, and allow Him to use you to the fullest. In that. And stop. If you're a foot, stop trying to be a hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
if you're a pug head.
Yeah. Stop trying to be a squirrel.
Yeah.
Finger squirrels.
Yep. That's all I had.
That's all I had as well.
There it is. Contentment and
enjoyable.
comparison.
Yeah.
I think contentment is the opposite of comparison. That's what I would say. Sinful comparison. Yeah.
I think so. And content in
the Lord.
In the Lord.
And what the lot that the Lord has given you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And know that what He has in store for us, the inheritance that He has in store for us as His children, is beyond what we could ever imagine.
Yep.
And so why are we complaining about what we got now?
Yep.
So
we did this because we know a lot of you are jealous of us.
Yeah, because we have finger squirrels and finger pugs. You don't.
And so we did this.
Yeah.
So simmer down a smidge.
Yeah, so y'all need to calm down.
Yeah. But thanks for listening to episode 41 of the Shop Podcast.
Yep. On the coast.
On the coast?
Yeah. Down the hill.
Oh. We're just coasting.
Yeah. The coast of East End.
Well, are we going to go up another hill in season 2 of the Shop Podcast?
Is that how that happens?
I don't know. Or are we forever downhill from this point forward?
I think we're downhill from this point.
Okay. It's just coasting. Smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing.
If y'all need anything, put it in the chat.
If anybody knows how to get rid of these flies. Tanner has been kind of a fly ninja lately.
Not as much as my wife. My wife killed with a fly swatter. We were keeping track for a few days. It was like 12 flies in 14 swats.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Have you seen... Oh,
I hit it.
You hit it, dude. That dude's tough.
I hit it.
That dude is tough.
Like, nah. I'm going to keep flying.
Did you see the... it's an old Disney cartoon, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Not just like there's multiple like Mickey Mouse shows, like Mickey Mouse cartoons.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah, maybe you've heard of this little mouse. There's one in particular. There's different. I'm not talking about like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or
Denver
something.
loves Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Dude, Emmett's like got on board with Trash Truck.
Oh, yeah, he watches it now?
Yeah.
Okay, Denver loves Trash Truck as
I
well.
ran across it and I was like, this
Yeah.
is kind of a cool little
Yeah.
cartoon. But anyway,
Kevin's the bear.
I know. Yeah, I noticed the voice and I looked it up. I was like, I know that sounds like him.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a Mickey Mouse like cartoon from like back. I remember it as a kid, and Mickey Mouse has a problem with flies in his house. It's a version of Jack and the Beanstalk too. It's like Mickey Mouse has these flies in his little shop. He kills like 2 or 3 in one swat, and he's so excited about it. He runs outside. He's like, I killed 3 at a time. And so the village thinks he's talking about giants instead of flies, and they send him to go fight like Jack and the Beanstalk style the giant that lives up the vine in their village.
Mickey Mouse used to be a lot more violent than he is now.
Yeah. And I don't think he killed him, but he knocked him out of the sky, I'm pretty sure.
Knocked him out of the sky.
Like off the beanstalk.
Why do you
anyway.
live on a beanstalk?
That's just the story. That's where giants live, up beanstalks from the magic beans. I don't know. I didn't write the story. But this is like a Mickey Mouse version of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Denver
So-
likes the singing cow on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Denver's a big fan of that.
Yeah. I remember that. I think both of our kids were into that at some point. I think Emmett got into the Roadster Racers,
Yeah.
Mickey's Roadster Racers.
Yeah.
And so,
What do your kids watch?
yeah. What do you watch? What's your favorite cartoons? I used to watch Ren and Stimpy when I was little. It was one of my faves.
Rugrats was my favorite.
I did watch Rugrats as well.
Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy was
I
a
watched
little
All
more
Grown Up.
crude.
I watched Rugrats All Grown Up for a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Josh Doug.
No, my brother did. I watched Franklin, the turtle.
Oh, yeah. I never got into that. Did you ever watch Daria?
If you're still here, I don't know why.
It was on MTV.
You should go home.
It was like that girl. She was just bored at everything. She just talked like this all the time.
Eeyore.
I did watch Winnie the Pooh.
I turned on Winnie the Pooh the other day, and Denver did not like it. I don't know that I ever. I'm sure I watched it, but I don't know that I ever got into it.
Yeah. I remember watching it. There was like a series on that came on like Saturday mornings on Disney or something.
Yeah.
That I used to watch. But maybe.
Anywho, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 41 of the Shop Podcast.
Yep. Over and out.
Catch you on the flip flop.
On the flip flop. On the slide. On the toe sandals.